Welcome back to the Dragon's Lair, everyone. My name is Wade, and this is my show Let's Talk, where we talk about Warhammer 40k. I'm talking Tyranids today. Go ahead and check out the other videos in this series. It's all on a playlist. Tyranids 10th edition, Let's Talk. I have another Let's Talk for my Necrons, and I'll have more as different codexes come out. I have been a Tyranid player for about 20 years now, and I love the bugs. So Hive Mind out there, this whole playlist, this is for you guys. We're talking today about the Maleceptor. Um, there isn't much I don't love about the Maleceptor, and what I mean by that is I love monstrous creatures, and I love highly psychic brain bugs. I love those two things, and the Maleceptor smashes that together. Now, keep in mind, the Maleceptor has been pretty strong in the meta. I don't follow the meta very closely. I only play at RTT level, and I really like that because I'm there to have fun. Um, but Maleceptors have been used in competitive play quite some time. I've seen lists that have two or three, and they're good. They're good. I'm not gonna lie. Maleceptors are good. So you might say, "Hey Wade, what's so good about a Maleceptor?" Let's talk about it. Movement 8. Most monstrous creatures do move pretty far. Keep in mind, with the size of the base of a monstrous creature, you're covering a lot of ground by moving 8. But you also have to, because you have to get around buildings and things. You can't go through buildings because anything with the monster keyword can't do that. I wish they could. Tough 11. Not all monstrous creatures are as tough as a Maleceptor. So Tough 11 is pretty freaking cool. It's right up there with the Tyrannifex. And I love, love, love monstrous creatures. So Tough 11 is pretty hard to hurt in this stage of the game, and I love it. I think it's great. 3 plus save is pretty good. It's easy for monstrous creatures to get cover, but a 3 plus is really good. And then the 4 plus invulnerable. So keep in mind, he's hard to wound. It's hard to put a wound on with Tough 11, and then you can just ignore it high side of 50% of the time. Your regular save could be a thing that comes into hand as well, and you could possibly, be using the 3 plus in some situations. But 14 wounds is very good. It's not super great, but it's it's very good, especially something with Tough 11 with a 4 plus invulnerable save. So that's really good. um, Leadership 7, which is average, but it's even better for us because if you look down in the keyword section, it has synapse in the keyword section, which means it gives synapse. It creates a 6-inch bubble around the giant, chunky base, and that is giving synapse to quite a bit of space of the table because that big base plus the 6 inches. Um, Maleceptors have been out of print for a while. They've been out of stock. So I will admit I have a printed Maleceptor from a friend of mine. I would have bought two, Games Workshop ones, but you can't buy them. And then they go into print, and then they're immediately sold out. So, I mean, I don't. I'm not like super screw Games Workshop. I want Games Workshop models, but when a Maleceptor has been out of stock for like 2 years, I want my Maleceptors, dude. Anyways, um, so it gives Synapse. That's great. Objective Control 4 is pretty good. It's a great unit to add to a dog pile, and I'll get into that in a minute. Let's go over the melee attacks. So it does have the option to do a strike or a sweep. 3 attacks, just 3 attacks, is not great. Weapon skill 3 is pretty good. It's the low side of average. Strength 9 is pretty good because you're double tough in Marines. So he's not built for taking out vehicles necessarily, but elite infantry, he's pretty good at it. And he can definitely put some hurt on vehicles. Most vehicles like dreadnoughts and stuff, he's going to be wounding them on 5s, and that's a real struggle for me. If I have to get a 5 to achieve something, it's going to be a hard slog. But he's double toughing Marines, so he can run up and clear objectives out. AP2, so AP1 is good, AP2 is better, AP3 is best. Anything AP3 or higher is best in 10th edition. So AP2 is pretty good. Wounding Marines on 2s, AP2, then D6+1. He's going to murder Marines. Murder Marines. When you go down to the sweep option, so when you melee attack, you have to choose strike or sweep. When you go down to the sweep options, 6 attacks, low side of average, strength 7, which means you're wounding most things on 3s. AP1, not great, but that damage is a 2. So maybe you use that against guardsmen, fire warriors, aspect warriors, anything that's T3. Um, that AP1-2 damage could benefit you to get rid of Marines. I keep up everything as if invasion fleet, so keep in mind if you choose swarming instincts, you're gonna get those sustained hits 1. So any to hit roll of a 6 is an additional hit. That could really help you there. So he's got good options. Unlike a Tyrannifex, which is a giant hulking beast with kind of a cool gun depending on what you pick, but really is not good in melee combat. So Exocrines as well. So the versatility is why the Maleceptor is so important as well. There are other things too. Let's go up to the psychic attacks. Blast. So for every 5 members of the enemy unit that you're shooting, you get an additional attack. So if you're shooting a 10-man of Terminators, for example, you're getting 1d6 plus 5 attacks. That's pretty great. BS3, so low side of average, which is pretty good. Strength 10. So that's a big deal right there because you're double toughing Terminators. For example, AP2 is better. 3 damage. There's going to be a lot of things that if you wound it, you're going to delete it. And deleting things is a joy. If you get to delete things, you'll be a happy person. So it's got good melee attack options. It's got good range attack options. Deadly Demise is cool. So remember, if it dies, you roll a d6. If you get a 6, then it's going to do d3 damage. I believe it's to everything in a 6-inch radius around it. Shadow of the Warp, Synapse. So when you see Synapse under faction, it just means that he can benefit from being in Synapse. Shadow of the Warp means if this model is on the table, you still have the ability to use Shadow in the Warp, which is pretty cool. It's all about the diffusion bubble. So the encephalic diffusion, I'm probably saying that wrong. It's an aura, it's psychic. This is what this is all about. When an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. And if the enemy unit is below strength, subtract 1 from the wound roll. Okay, so this is a big deal. How I've used this recently to great effect is you put a Norn Emissary on an objective, and then you have the Maleceptor right next to him or right behind him. So that way, anything that comes up to that objective to try to take it, it is now harder to hit and harder to wound both the Maleceptor and the Norn Emissary, who's standing on that objective, probably giving it objective control 15. So you've got 19 between the two of them. No one's going to take an objective control 19 away from you. Okay, nobody. And then all of a sudden it's really hard to hit the Maleceptor and the Emissary, and it's really hard to wound, because keep in mind, both of them are high toughness, both of them are high wounds, both of them have 4+ invulnerable saves. So if you were wounding it on a 4, if your enemy was wounding it on a 4, they're now wounding it on a 5. And that's a big deal. So the Maleceptor is a great support model, in my opinion. Anywhere you put it, it makes the things around it live longer, and that's a great option. And it can also dish out the damage. It can shoot at stuff, because it's a monster. It can shoot at things in other combats or things that are not engaged. Keep that in mind. The weapon is a blast weapon, so I take that back. So I'm sorry about that. But stratagem-wise, Rapid Regeneration is a great stratagem for him. It just helps keep him alive even longer. Death Frenzy is great, and Predatory Imperative might also be good to give him the lethal hits against vehicles. The Maleceptor is just a great unit all around. It's got good defenses, it's got good damage, it's got range, it's got melee. It's great, and then it has this bubble that protects people. We here at the Dragon's Lair understand that you can spend your time anywhere on the internet, so thank you for spending your time here with us at the Dragon's Lair.